I'm Oliver Sloup with Blue Line Futures, coming to you from the Chicago Board of Trade with another episode of Tech Talk. It is Tuesday, February 23rd. We saw some big action in the markets, not just the grain and livestock markets, but also the outside markets. Volatility expanded a little bit, but we're going to focus on grains and livestock today. And the Tech Talk, we've got soybeans, wheat, and live cattle. We'll kick things off with soybeans here. We got the May contract. Remember, March options expired last week, so that shifts our focus to the May futures. Now, for the better part of the last month, and this is what we've been talking about in our daily Grain Express, is the fact that we've been mostly range bound. Call it 1335 on the downside and 1393 on the upside, or at least that's how we defined it in our Grain Express. Had a little bit of a false breakout here on February 9th, but obviously we saw what happened the following day. Will that happen again today? Is this just a false breakout? To be determined. So far, it looks pretty constructive on a breakout move to the upside. But keep in mind, we did finish about 20 cents off the high. So the conviction is less than it would be if we closed on the highs. But today's price action, very friendly. Previous resistance, 1393, now becomes support. The bulls want to defend this going into the back half of this week's trade. A failure to do so could drop us back in the range. But if we do defend this, 1393 to psychologically significant $14 handle, I wouldn't be surprised to see the market go ahead and make a march towards those contract highs that we saw back in January, closer to that 1433. So beans, they finished off the highs, all in all constructive. The thing keeping us a little bit hesitant or holding back the conviction of being overly bullish is what we saw back here on this false breakout from earlier in the month. So taking today's action with a grain of salt, but I think tomorrow probably set the tone going forward. Now moving over to the wheat market. The wheat market, we were pretty bearish on, a couple weeks back. Looking at a head and shoulders, we got a shoulder here, the head here, and the shoulder here. We weren't really able to break down below the support pocket, which put us into a little bit of a trading range. And now we're at the top end of that range and threatening a breakout. 670 is really the threshold point, or the pivot pocket that we're looking at. A break and close above 670, I think, opens the door for a potential retest of those contract highs back here from January 15th, and potentially above that to that psychologically significant $7 handle. So we were bullish. We moved more neutral, and now if we can get a conviction close out above 670, that gives the bulls full control of the technical landscape here going forward. And moving over to livestock, last but certainly not least, April live cattle got a pretty healthy pullback here over the last week, and this is something that we were waiting for. In our previous tech talks, we've been talking about reducing against the old contract highs, which comes in near 124.5. We popped out above there. Some people were like, oh, you didn't call the top. Well, yeah, that's not going to happen, all right? So we got a pullback finally that we were looking for, now coming back into the support pocket, which was the previous breakout point from January 22nd. 119.82 to about 121.25 is really where a lot of that support comes in. Again, the breakout point, then it became support here on February 1st. We think this is a buying opportunity. If you're bullish the market, this is a great spot. If you're a bear and bearish the market, this is a spot to reduce short exposure. So I do think that we'll be able to hold this. The cash market, we really want to see that firm up here in the coming weeks to help support our longer term thesis of higher prices going forward. So that's what we're looking at. That's what you should be looking at too. This has been Oliver Sloup with Blue Line Futures from the Chicago Board of Trade. Remember, trading futures and options involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Thanks a lot.